Well, in politics, anything can happen, and there's plenty of time before the GOP picks which candidate will challenge President Obama in next year's election. But there's a panel at the American Political Science Association that is already hearing from a study that says what happens in New Hampshire could predict who wins the 2012 election. Another study, this may be even more interesting, it examined biographical factors. And it picked Rick Perry as the challenger with the best chance of winning the presidency. Joining us now to talk about it, Ford O'Connell, chairman of the Civic Forum Political Action Committee, and former Howard Dean campaign manager Joe Trippi, who is a Fox News contributor. Gentlemen, good to see you both. Ford, let me start with you. And let's put on the screen a poll, because it just came out, a Fox News poll. Texas Governor Rick Perry leading 26% to Mitt Romney's 18%, and Perry's numbers have jumped up 13% in August, an increase of 13 points. That happens to match that research model I talked about that examined 58 biographical factors, concluding Perry is the only Republican likely to beat President Obama. What do you think? Do you buy this kind of political prescience?
Well, I think they're always good when they're on your side. That said, anything can happen. And right now, it's looking very much like that the GOP presidential nominee is going to be either Texas Governor Rick Perry or former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney. But there's a lot between now and then, and we got to get through a heck of a lot of debates. And plus, on my side of the aisle, we've got some new primary rules and a new primary calendar that's in flux. So right now, it's very hard to make that determination. But that's certainly in Governor Perry's favor.
Yeah, it's not winner take all in some of the primaries, but proportionate distribution. But listen, Joe, let me go to you. I know you think it's still way too early to be making bold predictions, but give me some of yours.
Well, I mean, it's always bold prediction time this early because, look, we don't even know who the Republican field, if it's full yet. We don't know if Sarah Palin's in or out. I don't think she'll get in, but we don't know that. There are other people on the sidelines that could get in. Chris Christie, I hear, is still thinking about it and may jump into this thing. And aside from that, I'll make a bold prediction. It's that I think there's going to be a third candidate. There'll be an independent candidate in this race in 2012. And trying to decide who wins New Hampshire, for instance, with a third-party candidate or an independent candidacy is
so
not,
Joe, be really bold and tell me who that independent's going to be.
I don't know the answer to that yet. That's unclear to me. But there are people. Americans Elect is a group that's out trying to organize 50 slots in each state for a third-party candidate, and they're doing really well. And if politics, of course, is a vacuum. If they can fill that vacuum by providing that slot, somebody's going to step in and take it.
Joe certainly wants a third-party candidate in there. Trust me, because if we win Florida, Ohio, and Colorado, we're going to win the White House.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. That takes out Rick Perry. That's my point. I mean, predicting that he's going to be it is crazy at this point.
All right. Now, Ford, I mentioned the study that says, wait a minute, New Hampshire is really the predictor. Do you buy that? And if not, what other states do you think the nominees really need to focus on to win?
I think that the nominees really need to focus on Florida because Florida is really the battleground voter. If you can connect with the Florida electorate, you can win the presidency. That said, on the Republican side of the aisle since 1980, what's wrong with South Carolina? It's been right for our nominee every single time. But I do really think you need to look very closely at Florida, Ohio, Nevada, and Colorado because if you can connect with them, you can win the White House.
Joe, the president's approval rating is underwater, as they say. In other words, more people disapprove than approve. But the key voting group that propelled him to the presidency really seems to be deserting him. Take a look at this. Among independents, 31% approve, while 55% of independents disapprove of how the president is doing. And by the way, a different poll, still Fox News, found that 57% of independents say they're going to vote for somebody else. How does the president get those people back?
It's the economy. The economy's got to turn. He's got to show real progress there. His job speech that he's going to be giving this week is going to be very important.
But even the White House says it's not going to turn.
It's not going to. That's part of the problem here. I mean, part of the bigger problem is in politics, I mean, guys like me and Ford know that if the economy turns tomorrow, it takes 6 months for people on the street to really feel that in the way they change their view about the direction of the country moving more positive. So it's got to turn quick here, and that no one thinks that's in the cards. So this is going to be a very tough election. I think going back to states, Ohio is one that I would point to. As the person who wins Ohio is likely to be the next president of the United States. I mean, that's going to be a lot of electoral votes. And it's up for grabs right now, given the economic status of that state.
What about that?
Well, one outlier I'd like to throw in there, Joe, is that the president has a likability factor that's very, difficult to measure, and that's what's really keeping him afloat with independents, women, and Hispanics. And I think he's going to have to play on that, because I think whoever the Republican nominee is going to be is going to have to show more than just a plan. They're going to have to show a plan, and they're going to sell it and have to cut in the president's likability if they want to win the White House.
Yeah, what about that, Joe? When you can tell it's likability because his approval rating is in the 40s, but when you specifically go to issues of jobs and the economy, wow, it really dips down into the low 30s. So it's got to be his likability. Do people actually make a decision based on likability, not issues?
Well, I think it's two. It's his likability, and I think right now, look, there's no way about it, but people are upset at both parties and in the establishment in both parties. And so, again, depending on who's in there, this could be a very brutal negative election on both sides. I mean, in terms of knocking down the Republican and winning that way.
And Ford, speaking of brutal, there was a brutal Fox News poll that said 74% think that Sarah Palin should not run for president. Ouch. Do you think that influences her, or does she not pay attention to that stuff?
I'm not sure that Sarah actually pays attention to that. I think that if Sarah were to jump in, because with Sarah we never know, I will say that I think she wants to influence the debate on the Republican side. And I think she really wants to have a say in who the nominee is going to be. So that's really where Sarah comes in.
Yeah, kind of wants to be maybe a mini kingmaker or queenmaker, depending upon your point of view. All right.
Absolutely.
Ford O'Connell, great to see you. Joe Trippi, who's lost some weight, you look great. You look fabulous. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thanks, guys, for being with us this long holiday weekend. Appreciate it.
Thank you.